Henry stood motionless in front of the locked door, the cold brass handle unmoved by his gloved hand. He never misplaced keys. Never. This room, the one he called the Archive of Unfixables, was his last redoubt. Behind that door, silence, safes, secrets. And now, someone else had found the silence before him. "Someone's been in here," he said, more to the wallpaper than to the household gathering behind him. Chloe lit a closed cigarette. "Wasn't me. I don't fetishize your trauma files." "Oh, please," snapped Lucretia from her armchair, sipping what smelled suspiciously like yarrow tea. "If I wanted to open that room, I wouldn't need a key. I'd need a reason. I saw her with something metallic yesterday." Chloe pointed. "She was polishing her teeth with it." "It was a teaspoon, darling," Lucretia hissed. "Your wit dulls by the hour." Yessica, emerging with a basket of damp towels, murmured, "I didn't want to say anything, but Señor Whiskers dragged something shiny into the laundry pile. I thought it was a sequin." Henry's eyes narrowed. "Where is it now?" "In the sock drawer. Under the baby monitor, and that photo of you in Cabo with." She stopped. Too late. Veronica gasped from the top of the stairs. She was in full chiffon. "I knew I felt a tremor in the family force. Henry's hiding again. Veronica de la Cruz demands transparency." Brandon, shirtless and sweaty from emergency cardio, stepped forward like a Labrador in crisis. "I saw this in a movie once. You just need a hairpin, a credit card, and a traumatic childhood. You have none of the three," muttered Chloe, puffing a gray cloud across the hall. Nevertheless, Brandon knelt, twisted, jimmied, and with a satisfying click, the door creaked open. Inside, dusk glimmered in shafts of dying light. The air was heavy, thick like forgotten prayers. They entered slowly. The safe in the corner, open. The folders, some missing. And on the desk, two perfectly placed to be accidental, a wedding photo. Henry, in a tuxedo. The woman beside him, not Veronica. "Who the hell is that?" Veronica's voice pitched 3 octaves higher. "Why does her hair look more conditioned than mine?" Henry didn't speak. Not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't. His eyes were on the drawer. It was half open, and inside, a note written on torn parchment. "If they find out, we're both dead." Chloe read it aloud. Silence fell. Yessica dropped a towel. Lucretia blinked once. "The beginning of the end," she whispered. "Again." Suddenly, every look turned predatory. Accusations erupted like faulty plumbing. "You knew about this!" Veronica shrieked, flinging the wedding photo across the room. "Is this why you always needed your space? Was she prettier? Younger? Did she moisturize with gold flakes?" "It's not what it looks like," Henry said flatly, his voice the temperature of sleet. Brandon turned to Chloe. "Are we part of a cult? Like, legally?" Chloe ignored him, reaching under the desk. "He hid something else." She pulled out a velvet pouch. Empty. "I had dreams about this," murmured Lucretia. "Señor Whiskers, he tried to warn me. He peed in the shape of a skull last week." At that moment, as if summoned, Señor Whiskers strutted into the room, slow, proud, regal. Around his neck, tied with a fraying pink ribbon, was a USB flash drive. Veronica fainted in style, hands up, eyes wide, one foot still on the carpet. Brandon caught her mid-fall. "She smells like regret and grapefruit." Chloe took the drive. "Should we plug it in?" "No," Henry snapped. "Not here. Not now." But it was too late. Milo, who had been watching silently from the shadows like an unpaid Greek chorus, stepped forward with a tablet. "There's no safer place than the eye of the storm." He inserted the drive. Nothing. Just a single file. Untitled. Brandon gasped. What if it's, like, a murder tutorial? Yessica tilted her head. That would explain the shovel I found in the pool house. Veronica stirred on Brandon's arm, eyes fluttering. Veronica de la Cruz will not be silenced. Henry looked at his watch, then at the faces surrounding him, then at the note again. Someone, he said, is already 10 steps ahead of us. Suddenly, Veronica sat up. Enough. I declare a mandatory family healing weekend. Is that a punishment or a prophecy? Milo asked. No one laughed. Only Señor Whiskers did, in his eyes. Rain pelted the windshield as the family van snaked through the hills to Veronica's idea of healing, a vintage retreat center that smelled like eucalyptus, expired lavender oil, and generational trauma. The sky brooded above, swollen with secrets. No phones. No screens. No exits, Veronica announced from the driver's seat, still in silk and sunglasses. Veronica de la Cruz will heal this family if it kills us. Brandon was curled in the third row Googling how to spot a cult on a hidden smartwatch. Chloe sat with her feet on the dashboard, sketching a bleeding heart crucified on a USB stick. I'm naming this one Digital Damnation, she muttered. Yessica, wearing an apron that said, I does, therefore I know, unpacked homemade detox cookies. Eat them or don't. They're mostly fennel and unresolved grief. Henry said nothing the whole ride. His briefcase, always locked, now rested on his lap, his hand clenched tight on it. Inside, next to the note, was the photograph. And under it, scribbled in red ink on the back, a name he hadn't heard in years, Oliver. As the van screeched to a stop outside the moss-covered villa, Señor Whiskers leapt out first, darting into the forest like he was chasing fate itself. Chloe followed. He knows something. That cat knows. Lucretia was already inside, sipping tea from her own thermos. It begins, she said aloud to no one, then pressed record on a hidden mic inside her bra. Evening fell. The family gathered around the fire pit, some sipping broth, others suspicion. The USB hadn't been opened again. Not yet. Henry insisted it needed encryption. Milo offered to crack it. Veronica forbid it. Lucretia encouraged it. Brandon misunderstood and tried to swallow it. Chaos naturally ensued. But the real unraveling began when Chloe confronted Lucretia. Where were you that night when the safe was opened? I was with my plants, Lucretia said smoothly. They were molting. You have foxglove stains on your fingers. That safe was foxglove oiled. You taught me that trick. Silence. The loud kind. Then Yessica broke in. While you all were busy acting out Act 3 of Les Miserables, Señor Whiskers brought me this. She placed a plastic bag on the table. Inside, the missing office key. Bent. Where did he find it? Henry's voice finally cracked. Just a tremor, but enough to turn heads. Under the floorboards of the conservatory, next to a second note. Chloe grabbed it, read aloud. Her voice was cold. Asterisk, he doesn't know yet. But the son does. Asterisk. Everyone turned to Henry. Then, slowly, to Milo. I'm not the son, he said, sipping broth. I'm the audience. Then who is? Chloe whispered. Just then, the villa lights flickered. A blackout. Screams, glass breaking, a shout in the distance, asterisk. My skin! Protect my skin! Asterisk, Veronica. When the lights returned, Henry's briefcase was open. Empty. And on the table, a printed photo of a teenager in a school uniform, hoodie half-zipped, face half in shadow. Oliver. Lucretia stood. Someone brought the past into the present, she whispered. Yessica looked around. But who brought him here? Thunder rolled across the hills like a warning bell as the villa's front door creaked open, but no one was near it. Brendan froze mid-stretch. Okay, I swear I just saw a hoodie in the window. Like a floating hoodie. Do ghosts wear athleisure now? No, Chloe said, already walking toward the door with a candle and her father's tie fashioned into a headband. But our half-brother might. Veronica gasped from the fainting couch she had insisted be placed beside the fire. Veronica de la Cruz cannot process surprise without eyeliner. Where is my contour kit? Milo sat cross-legged by the window, a tarot card in each hand. In Greek tragedy, the third act begins with the unmasking. That, or a stabbing. The door creaked wider. Wet footprints marked the wooden floor. Yessica followed the trail with narrowed eyes. That's size 11. Men's. Henry's or older Oliver's. Henry stood, white-knuckled. He shouldn't know how to get here. I never told her. I never told anyone. Then why was his picture in your briefcase? Snapped Chloe. And why did the note say he knows? Before Henry could answer, the candle flickered out in Chloe's hand. Darkness swallowed the room whole. From the silence, a whisper. Dad. The lights came back with a pop. Standing in the entryway, soaked from the rain, was a boy no one had seen before. Hoodie, eyes like Henry's, and a flash drive in his hand. Henry dropped his glass. Veronica clutched her pearls. Is that? Henry, is this another naughty situation? Henry took one slow step forward. Oliver. The boy smiled faintly. That's not my name anymore. Lucretia stood. Then what is it? He raised the flash drive. Depends what you want to know first. Who paid me, or who's still lying? Brandon looked between Henry and the boy. Okay, I have, one very important question. Do you do leg day? Veronica swatted him with a silk scarf. Oliver not Oliver walked to the table, dripping water, and placed the flash drive next to the fire. There are recordings, letters, and the video of the wedding. Chloe scoffed. Wedding? Yes, said Oliver. The one where he married my mother, while still legally married to yours. Veronica screamed in 3 different pitches, then collapsed, this time for real. Brandon! Catch me! I'm eating a fennel cookie. I can't. Yessica moved first, pressing her hand to Veronica's pulse. She's fine. Just dramatic shock. Dramatic shock, Milo repeated, opening a second bottle of broth. Name of my new band. Henry, finally undone, fell into the chair. I never meant for this to happen. Which part? Asked Chloe coldly. The secret son, the double wife, or the coded drive that may or may not contain a confession? The drive beeped, then clicked, and the screen above the fireplace flickered to life. A grainy home video. Naughty. In white. Crying, laughing, kissing Henry. Baby Oliver in her arms. Voiceover. Henry's voice. If they ever find out, we're both dead. But at least you'll be free. Veronica sat up. Asterisk free? Asterisk, what does that mean? Who is dead? Who is supposed to be? The screen went black. A pause. Then static. Then Señor Whiskers, his camera slightly tilted, as he ran through a room none of them recognized, but Henry did. His eyes widened. That's my office. But that door, that's not our house. Oliver smiled. Correct. It's hers. Veronica stood, trembling. Asterisk whose? Asterisk. The fire snapped. Oliver turned. Naughties. Lucretia closed her eyes. Oh, Henry, what have you done? Outside, a second car pulled up. A pastel pink heel hit the gravel, and a voice as smooth as sugar and venom floated into the night. If anyone touches my drive again, I sue. The door burst open with a kind of theatrical timing that made Veronica twitch. There she stood, Naughty Solano, hair in immaculate spirals, silk trench cinched like a trophy, lips lacquered in revenge. "I see you started without me," she purred, stepping inside like she owned oxygen. Henry rose, but it was more recoil than welcome. "Naughty, this isn't... Asterisk not the time. Asterisk oh, I insist. After all, half the documents in that drive have my name on them. And my lipstick print." Veronica staggered back like slapped. "You framed my wedding photos?" "No, sweetie," Naughty replied, removing her gloves one finger at a time. "I replaced them." Brandon blinked. "Are we, like, still technically one family? Or did we fracture into Netflix seasons?" Oliver crossed his arms, eyes fixed on Naughty. "You told me he abandoned you. You said he never looked back." "He didn't," she said, her voice suddenly steel. "But I made sure his shadow did." Chloe laughed once, low and sharp. "This is a performance art piece now, right? Trauma cabaret?" Veronica stormed forward, barefoot, hair unraveling. Asterisk Veronica de la Cruz asterisk is not sharing her family name with a flash drive floozy. "Not again! Not since that intern in Madrid." Naughty cocked her head. "You're assuming we want to share anything, darling. You have rotting legacy. I have backup copies." Henry stepped between them, hands raised. "Enough. Naughty, why now? Why bring Oliver here?" "Because," she said slowly, "someone in this house accessed my safe 3 days ago and took my part of the will." Everyone froze. Lucretia blinked. "There's a third will?" Naughty nodded. "Written the day after our wedding. Co-signed. And hidden in a drawer that was no longer locked." Veronica shrieked. "You mean this entire family is fighting over an expired inheritance?" "Not expired," Naughty corrected. "Upgraded." She pulled a folded paper from her clutch and tossed it into the firelight. Chloe snatched it, eyes skimming fast. This names Oliver as legal heir to the de la Cruz estate, with full rights to all intellectual property and, oh wow, asterisk emotional damages. Asterisk, that's a legal category now?" Yessica raised an eyebrow. "Emotional damages? I'll need a second fridge." Henry sank into the nearest chair, aged by decades in a breath. "I wrote that. Before you left." "I left?" Naughty snarled. "Henry, I disappeared. I got a letter saying you died in a boating accident, with a Veronica de la Cruz condolence card attached." Milo whispered. "Okay, that's either the worst lie or the best PR campaign I've ever heard." Lucretia muttered. "I remember the boat, but there was no accident." "Wait," Chloe snapped. Asterisk, you asterisk staged the accident, didn't you?" Veronica gasped. "Did I?" All eyes swiveled to Lucretia. The matriarch smiled with a humor. "What this family calls drama, I call housekeeping." Just then, a beep sounded from the fire mantle. Señor Whiskers, poised like a sphinx, had activated the projector again. This time, a still image appeared. A ledger. Signed by Henry. Transferring property to Inez and unborn son M. Oliver looked up. "My name isn't M." Naughty's face paled. Henry stood. "It's not him." Veronica blinked. "What do you mean?" Henry looked straight at Yessica. Asterisk, she asterisk had the son. Yessica didn't flinch. She stepped forward, slow, calm, lethal. "Oh, honey," she said softly. "I told you I was waiting for the right moment." A beat. Then, from the hallway came a new voice. Light, amused. Male. "I guess now's the time." And into the room stepped a tall young man. In his hand, A second flash drive. Identical. Glowing red. Brandon stared. Wait, if he's the son, asterisk, then who's Oliver? Asterisk. Milo, from the corner, whispered, We are so past Act 3. Silence cracked through the room like a whip. The new arrival stood tall, confident in a way that unsettled even Lucretia. He had Henry's jaw, Jessica's eyes, and something else entirely, the posture of someone who knew exactly where the bodies were buried. Perhaps because he helped bury one. Who are you? Veronica hissed, clutching her silk robe as if it were armor. He smiled. Name's Mateo. Mateo Ramirez. Jessica didn't move, her face serene. My son. Henry turned as if the floor had vanished beneath him. That's not possible. Oh, Jessica said lightly. I was your assistant. Your confidant. Your weekends stay late in the office. You just didn't bother asking what happened after that thunderstorm in June. Mateo stepped forward, placing the red flash drive beside Oliver's. 2 sons. 2 flash drives. One of us is telling the truth. Oliver tensed. Wait, what? I'm just here to claim what's mine, Mateo said. And to make sure this family stops writing their sins in invisible ink. Brandon raised a hand like a confused student. So do we do a DNA test? Or a, musical duel? Milo sighed. This is what happens when people treat biology like a lottery. Naughty stepped forward, a pink vein pulsing near her temple. If he's the son, then what have I been raising? Oliver's face went pale. Mom! She turned. Don't call me that. You said Henry was your father. He is, Oliver shouted. But I never said you were my mother. Chloe blinked. Wait. Then who? Lucretia closed her eyes. Oh no, she whispered. Don't say it. Henry exhaled like the weight of the decade collapsed on his chest. His mother was Clarice. Everyone froze. Veronica screamed so loud the windows pulsed. Asterisk Clarice? Asterisk. The first wife, Lucretia confirmed, voice like broken glass. The one that vanished. Oliver's voice was steady. She didn't vanish. She left. Took me with her. Until someone sent people to find us. All heads swiveled to Henry. I didn't mean for it to go this far, he said. I just wanted to protect the family. From the truth? Chloe snapped. Naughty collapsed into a velvet chair. So you let me raise someone else's son, while mine... She turned to Mateo. My son, she whispered. Mateo didn't blink. Looks like your princess dream just came with an evil twin. Lucretia sipped her tea. And so the house of Montgomery, de la Cruz splits. Not by blood, but by truth. Veronica clapped once. Enough. This is no longer a family retreat. This is open war. Henry stared at the fire, the ashes of his life curling into gray ghosts. I have one more file, Mateo said. One that proves what you did to Clarice, and what you paid Lucretia to forget. Lucretia raised a brow. I don't forget. I charge. Let me see it, Henry whispered. Mateo smiled. You will, but not tonight. He turned to leave, flash drive pocketed. At the door, he paused. Oh, and Grandpa Lorenzo sends his regards. Veronica's eyes snapped open. Asterisk Lorenzo? Asterisk. Mateo grinned. Turns out he funded a few secrets too. The door shut behind him. A long silence. Then Señor Whiskers leapt onto the table, pressed his paw on a hidden remote. And the fireplace wall slid open. Inside, a staircase. Dusty. Lit from below. A voice echoed faintly from the dark. Veronica, darling. I think it's time we talked. Veronica turned pale. That's his voice. Henry looked up. Lorenzo's. The family stood paralyzed before the gaping void behind the fireplace. Veronica clutched the velvet curtain like a lifeline, mascara already sliding down her cheekbones. Veronica de la Cruz does not descend into basements, especially not ones that speak in her ex's voice. Chloe stepped closer to the staircase, a twisted smile playing on her lips. Of course there's a hidden level. This whole house is just architectural gaslighting. Yessica crossed herself with a lemon balm sprig. I told you. I dusted around this fireplace. There was a draft of lies. Brandon took a deep breath and stepped toward the opening. If I go down first, will I get, ghost punched? No, Milo said dryly, but possibly emotionally concussed. Henry was already moving, silent as ever. His steps on the wooden stairs echoed like regrets in a courtroom. Veronica, against every fiber of her silk-wrapped ego, followed. Don't let me die ugly, she hissed at Yessica. If I collapse, tilt my chin. The staircase curved, then opened into a dimly lit chamber, stone walls, velvet drapes, and in the center, a projection screen humming with electricity. Lorenzo stood in front of it, alive, older, thinner, and still wearing his signature scarf. Buona sera, he said, raising a crystal glass. Welcome to the director's cut. Veronica let out a small scream. You're supposed to be in Positano, making indie films about regret. I was, he said, until I realized the greatest tragedy was already written. Right here. He turned, gesturing to the screen. Roll it. The screen lit up. Old footage. A nursery. A crib. Clarice, young, beautiful, terrified, speaking into a camera. They want to erase me. Henry said it's for protection, but I know what this really is. I signed something. I shouldn't have. I think Veronica knows. Veronica gasped. I didn't, then paused. Wait. Did I? Chloe folded her arms. This family's memory is a crime scene. Lorenzo paused the footage. She came to me after that. Clarice. Pregnant. Hunted. I hid her for months. Until she disappeared. Henry swallowed hard. I thought she left. No, Lorenzo said. She was taken. And someone paid for silence. All eyes turned to Lucretia. She smiled, unbothered. Yes. And my rate's gone up since. Yessica stepped forward. So who really ordered it? Lorenzo pressed play again. The screen glitched, then showed a transaction log, a payment from an account under N.S. Productions. Veronica blinked. That's my studio. Naughty appeared at the back of the room, arms crossed. No, sweetheart. That's my initials. Chloe staggered. Wait. You? I didn't know what I was funding. Naughty snapped. Henry said it was for custody. For legal protection. Lorenzo nodded. But it funded a disappearance. Of a woman. Of a child. Until now. Milo clapped slowly. A round of applause for this Greek tragedy wrapped in a tax scandal. The screen cut to black. Then, a single sentence. Clarice is alive. Gasps erupted. Where? Cried Henry. Who told you that? Demanded Naughty. Veronica began hyperventilating. If she's alive, does that mean my wedding was invalid? Do I need to get redivorced? Lorenzo turned toward the door behind him. It opened, and Clarice stepped in. Elegant, older, eyes sharp, wearing black gloves. Her voice was low, controlled, devastating. I told myself I'd return when the lies stopped spinning. But you built your house on a carousel. Henry collapsed into a chair. You're really... I am... she said. Oliver stepped forward. Mom. Clarice opened her arms. Mi amor. The reunion lasted seconds. Then, a phone rang. Jessica's. She picked it up. Her face changed. What? Chloe snapped. Jessica looked up, eyes wide. Mateo's missing. Silence dropped like a guillotine. Then Señor Whiskers darted into the room, a new flash drive tied to his collar. It was bloodstained. Nobody moved. The flash drive swung gently from Señor Whiskers' collar like a cursed pendulum. The cat let out a guttural, marrow, less feline, more omen. Clarice bent down without fear, untied the ribbon, and held the flash drive to the light. Blood, she said calmly. Not fresh, but deliberate. Brendan backed away, arms out. Okay, I know this vibe. This is like Act 4 of any true crime podcast. I'm out. No gym, no protein, no justice. Veronica staggered toward the chaise lounge. If someone's dead, I demand it not be on my property. I just restain the floors. Naughty narrowed her eyes. No one's dead. Yet, but that drive was meant for us. Henry, suddenly reanimated, reached for the USB. Give it to me. Clarice pulled it back. No, Henry. You don't get to control the narrative anymore. She handed it to Milo instead. You seem least compromised. Milo blinked. That is the nicest thing anyone said to me this week. He inserted the drive into the room's console. The projector flickered. This time, a video. Mateo, bound to a chair, bruised but smirking. The image was shaky, handheld. Behind him, a basement lined with red curtains. A figure paced behind the camera, hidden. Mateo looked directly into the lens. I know who you are. I know what you took. And you're too late. Because the backup drive? The one you thought you found? That was bait. Static. Then a message in bold, red letters. Truth is a trap when you build your life on lies. The screen went black. Veronica screamed. Asterisk, why is everything in this house metaphorical? Asterisk. Chloe stood shaking. We need to find him. Lucretia finally spoke. That basement, the red curtains. I've seen it. Where? Clarice asked. Lucretia looked to the floor. The old guest house. The one we closed after the incident. What incident? Brendan yelped. Veronica waved her hand. The one with the bees and the priest. It's not important right now. Chloe grabbed a flashlight. We're going. I'm coming too, said Oliver, stepping beside her. Henry reached for Clarice's hand. Let me help. She looked at him, long and cold. You helped enough when you buried me. They left. Chloe, Oliver, Milo, Clarice, and Lucretia, stepping into the storm-churned night. The wind howled like it had gossip to share. Inside the villa, Veronica turned to Naughty. You did this, she hissed. Naughty laughed bitterly. You invited me. Brandon, sweating, looked around. Wait. Where's Yessica? Everyone paused. The house was too quiet. Then, from the hallway, a soft click. Yessica stepped out, holding her phone. Her voice low. They shouldn't have gone alone. Veronica narrowed her eyes. What do you mean? Yessica looked up, tone like ice. Because that guest house? It was never closed. I've been using it for sessions. Naughty's eyes narrowed. With who? Yessica didn't answer. Instead, she opened her hand. Inside, a small, hand-stitched pouch. Veronica gasped. That's Clarice's. And just before the lights flickered out, again, Señor Whiskers let out a low growl and arched his back. The air turned colder. And outside, near the tree line, The silhouette of a man watched from the shadows, holding a shovel. The night swelled with the weight of too many unsaid things. Chloe's boots squelched in the mud as the group approached the old guest house, its windows long boarded, its porch overtaken by ivy that looked a little too alive. The red curtains glimpsed in the flash-drive video now glowed faintly from within, like veins pulsing under old skin. "This is it," Lucretia said, producing a rusted key from her bra. "Everything worth knowing in this family hides behind locked doors. And grandmothers," Milo muttered, "and apparently basements, goose houses, and cats." Clarice didn't speak. She pushed past them and opened the door. Inside, the air was dense with forgotten breath. The scent of incense and something vaguely metallic hung in the air. The group moved cautiously, flashlights shaking. The red curtains lined the back wall, same as the video. Oliver pointed. "There. That's the chair. Empty now. Ropes on the floor. Still warm." Chloe lifted something from beside it, a velvet blindfold, soaked through. Milo's voice quivered. "This was staged." Lucretia crouched beside the remnants of a candle circle. "No. This was summoned." Clarice turned slowly. "Someone wanted us to find this. Wanted us to believe we were too late." Just then, the wall behind the curtain shifted. A draft. A whisper. A click. Oliver moved toward it, pressed. A panel slid open. And behind it, stairs. Again. Downward. They exchanged glances. And descended. Meanwhile, back at the villa, Veronica had locked herself in her crisis room, a powder room converted into a meditation nook with rose quartz wallpaper and an emergency wine fridge. Brendan paced outside. "I don't get it. Are we the villains now? Or just stupid?" Naughty sipped a turmeric martini. "Both." Yessica returned from the hallway calm, gloved, holding a single envelope. Veronica burst out. "Where have you been?" Yessica handed her the envelope. "Found this in the oven. Someone left it on preheat." Veronica opened it and shrieked. Inside, a photo. Clarice, holding baby Mateo. Dated. Stamped. Naughty leaned in. "That's my son. That's my year." Yessica looked down. "No, that's not Mateo." She pointed to the corner of the photo. A reflection in the glass of the frame. A man holding the camera. Asterisk, that's Lorenzo. Asterisk. In the underground chamber, the group reached the bottom stair. A single light bulb swung above. There, on the table, was a monitor. Milo approached. It flicked on by itself. Video feed. Live. Mateo, in another room. Unbound now. He was speaking directly into the camera. "If you're seeing this, then good. It means you made it to the end of the tunnel." He leaned forward. "But this wasn't about inheritance. Or bloodlines. It never was." He reached down, pulled something into frame. A birth certificate. Clarice gasped. It had her name. And Lorenzo's. Mateo looked up. "I'm not Henry's son. I never was." Back at the villa, Lorenzo's voice echoed through the speaker system. No one remembered turning it on. "My masterpiece," he said. "A story too twisted for cinema. A family too broken to be fiction." Señor Whiskers darted up the staircase. In his mouth, another flash drive. Naughty screamed. Yessica turned to Veronica. "You feel that? That shift?" Veronica clutched the wall. "What is it?" Yessica smiled faintly. "The story's no longer yours." In the underground chamber, the monitor crackled, flickered, and then went dark. Clarice staggered backward. "No. Lorenzo wouldn't. He couldn't." Lucretia's voice cut through like a scalpel. "He could. And he did. He used all of us as characters in his grand revisionist opera. Chloe stepped forward, flashlight shaking in her grip. So Mateo, he's not Henry's. He's Lorenzo's. That makes him. Milo raised an eyebrow. A de la Cruz by design. And Montgomery by misdirection. Oliver sat down on the cold stone floor. Then who am I in all this? Clarice touched his shoulder. You're mine. That's all that matters. He looked up, eyes glassy. But if I'm not part of this twisted inheritance game, then why drag me back? Lucretia stood still. Because you were the smoke screen. The family's eyes were on you, while Lorenzo played his final act. They turned back to the monitor. Now it displayed only text. The will has already been activated. The transfer is in motion. Back at the villa, Veronica slammed open the liquor cabinet, wildly swirling vermouth and champagne. Veronica de la Cruz refuses to be bankrupted by a theatrical plot twist. I've survived worse. I once outlived 3 recasts in 1 season. Naughty stared at the birth certificate, her voice low. He never told me. All those years, and he raised Mateo like Henry's. Yessica moved to the windows, peering into the storm. Because Lorenzo knew. If he made Mateo Henry's problem, he bought himself time. The house phone rang. An actual landline. The kind no one remembered ever installing. Veronica froze. We're not answering that. Brandon picked it up. Montgomery, de la Cruz estate. We ruin lives. A man's voice, slow, deliberate. Is Veronica there? Brandon held out the phone like it had bitten him. It's Lorenzo. Veronica snatched the receiver, breath shallow. You better have a camera crew and an apology. Lorenzo's voice crackled through. You always needed an audience. That's why I chose you. You chose me? Of course. You were always more myth than woman. I just gave you a stage. Veronica was trembling. What stage? There was a pause. Then, the house. The drama. The war. It's not a family crisis, darling. It's a premiere. Click. The line went dead. Back in the chamber, Chloe was the first to spot it, a velvet-covered switch on the wall. She flicked it without hesitation. Hidden speakers all over the villa and underground crackled to life. Then, a voice. Lorenzo's. Echoing everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to La Casa del Final Act. You've all played your parts beautifully. But now, it's time for the truth to choose its winner. Suddenly, panels in the guest house walls slid open, revealing shelves. Lined with tapes. Letters. Flash drives. Yessica gasped. He archived everything. Lucretia narrowed her eyes. And he left it for us to turn on each other. In the villa, every screen flickered on simultaneously. TVs, tablets, even the digital toaster. Each showing a different angle. A camera in the nursery. In the office. In Yessica's quarters. In the powder room. Veronica shrieked. He's been filming US? Since when? A screen zoomed in. Grainy footage of Veronica crying in a wig cap, shouting, Don't kill me. I'm still relevant. Brandon pointed. That's last week. Yessica clutched her chest. This wasn't just a setup. It was a show. Back in the chamber, Milo turned slowly to Clarice. He doesn't want revenge. He wants a season finale. Suddenly, every door in the villa and the guest house slammed shut. Señor Whiskers bolted up the staircase, hissing. A hidden intercom blared Lorenzo's final words. One air. One truth. One escape. Then, a ticking sound. Somewhere below. Oliver whispered, That's not dramatic sound design, is it? Clarice closed her eyes. No. It's a countdown. The ticking echoed through the stone chamber like a heartbeat on the edge of death. Defying countdown, Brandon said, inching toward the stairs. Like metaphorical? Existential? Or boom boom? Lucretia didn't blink. He was a director. This is a set, and every set has a closing cue. Chloe moved fast, tracing the sound to a grate beneath the table. Her fingers found a dial, digital, blinking red, 00:09:46. It's real, she breathed. And it's not subtle. Milo, dead calm, sat cross-legged on the floor. So we're trapped in an actual ticking time bomb morality play. This is why I stopped watching prestige drama. Clarice pulled Oliver behind her. We have to get upstairs. Get the others. Or get out. But the moment they turned for the stairs, the lights cut. Complete darkness. A spotlight flickered on, overhead, from nowhere. In it, the table. And on the table now, a single red envelope. It hadn't been there before. Chloe opened it with trembling fingers. Inside, a gold key. And a card. She read aloud. Only one of you holds the truth. Use it, or the house eats everyone. Henry's voice from behind. It's mine. They spun around. He stood in the stairwell, hair wet, breath ragged. Veronica appeared seconds later, dragging Naughty by the wrist. The door's locked behind us. There's gas leaking into the powder room. Naughty yanked free. My skin isn't built for panic. Yessica followed, strangely calm. I boiled valerian. Just in case. Where's Mateo? Clarice snapped. Henry stepped forward. Gone. Again. But no one moved. Ticking. 00:08:01. Milo looked to Clarice. So what if the truth doesn't belong to any of you? What do you mean? Asked Oliver. I mean, Milo said softly, pulling a small notebook from his coat. What if you left the truth with the only person not connected by blood, betrayal, or bed? He held up the notebook. It was old, torn, and inside the front cover, a note. For Milo, the only one watching. L*****. Veronica's knees buckled. Asterisk, he gave the whole script to the orphan? Asterisk. Milo opened the notebook, flipping pages, stopping. He wrote it all. Every move, every marriage, every fake death. It's a manuscript. Lucretia hissed. Then we're already written. No, Milo said, eyes wide. Not all of us. He pulled out a final page and held it up. It was a map. The house. The underground. And one line written in red ink. The real vault opens with Veronica's voice. Everyone turned. She blinked. What? Me? What voice? Chloe grabbed her. He said your voice? Say something dramatic. I don't perform under pressure. Ticking. 00:06:24. Yessica shouted. Scream like you did when you lost the Emmy in '98. Veronica took a breath. Then arms wide, eyes full of fire. Asterisk, this isn't drama. This is my life. Asterisk. A mechanism behind the wall groaned. Stone slid back. A vault door. Gold-trimmed. Engraved with a single symbol. Performing arts. Chloe ran to it, shoved the key into the lock. Click. Inside, not money, not jewels. A single stage light. And beneath it, a contract. Signed. Milo read it aloud. I, Lorenzo De Luca, leave my entire estate, production rights, and narrative control to... He stopped. Everyone leaned in. Milo looked up. To whoever finishes the story. Ticking. 00:04:02. Henry whispered. What the hell does that mean? Milo smiled. It means the ending's still unwritten. Suddenly, Señor Whiskers leapt into the vault and pawed at a loose tile. Behind it, a lever. Lucretia smirked. Shall we? Milo pulled the lever. Silence. Then the ticking stopped. A new sound rose, faint applause. Recorded. As if from an invisible audience. Spotlights flashed. The wall behind them lifted, revealing a velvet curtained stage. And in the center, Mateo. Alive. Mic'd. Grinning. Good evening, family, he said. Ready for your final audition? The velvet curtains rippled like the breath of the house itself. Mateo stood center stage, radiant under the single spotlight, as if this entire saga had been his monologue building to this very moment. He smiled, not with warmth, but with direction. Take your marks, he said. We only get one shot at the truth. Brandon blinked. Are we in a play? Not just any play, Milo murmured, eyes wide. This is the rewrite. Clarice took a cautious step forward. Mateo, you're safe. That's all that matters. I was never in danger, he said calmly. I was in rehearsal. From behind the curtains, figures emerged, stagehands in black, moving silently. One handed Naughty a script. Another placed a microphone on Henry's lapel. Naughty flinched. Asterisk, excuse me? I'm Union, asterisk. Mateo continued, undeterred. Each of you has one scene, one confession, one chance to stay in the house. Veronica clutched her pearls. Is this Survivor? Theater edition? Call it legacy casting, Mateo said coolly. Chloe stepped forward. And what happens if we don't perform? The spotlight shifted, illuminating the upper level of the chamber. Above them, a hidden mezzanine. And on it, screens. Dozens. Live footage of every room in the estate. Bedrooms. Bathrooms. The attic. Every secret. Every lie. Lucretia's eyes narrowed. You've been filming us. All of us. Mateo nodded. This is La Casa del final act. You don't live in it, you perform. Or you vanish. Oliver trembled. This isn't a game. Mateo's tone darkened. Isn't it? Then why did every one of you lie, cheat, spy, or seduce to survive under this roof? Don't worry. I'm just giving you a stage worthy of your talents. Brandon squinted. Wait. What genre is this again? Milo whispered. It's Revenge, directed by Inheritance. The lights dimmed. A voice boomed from the ceiling. Lorenzo, pre-recorded, eternal. Family is fiction. Blood is budget. But truth is your curtain call. Scene 1 began. Spotlight on Henry. Mateo stepped aside. Confess. Henry looked down at the script in his hands. Blank pages. He looked up. There's nothing written. Exactly, Mateo said. This part is improvised. Henry cleared his throat, voice steady. I had 2 families. One by choice. One by accident. But I loved neither, only the control they gave me. And when Clarice left, I let the silence grow loud enough to bury her. Chloe whispered. Silence in this family is the loudest thing. Spotlight shifted. Scene 2, Naughty. She froze. The silence stretched. Then, through clenched teeth, I knew. About the first wife. About the payments. About the disappearances. I thought if I climbed high enough, I could outrun the past. But I married into a masquerade. And then became the mask. Applause. Artificial. Still deafening. Scene 3, Veronica. She stepped into the light like a queen returning from exile. Veronica de la Cruz never wanted truth. She wanted applause. I ignored the blood on the scripts, because as long as the curtain rose, I thought I mattered. But now I see. The curtain's not rising. It's closing. Milo stared at her, stunned. She said that without fainting, he whispered. Mateo turned. Final scene. Chloe. She stepped into the center. Calm. Barefoot. Radiant with fury. I've been the chaos, the cloud of smoke, the daughter of shadows. But this family taught me one thing. Collapse is an art form. And I am the artist. A beat. The lights flared. The screens behind them flickered one last time. And then shut down. Mateo bowed. That concludes the first act. The doors unlatched with a mechanical clunk. Freedom. But only 5 exit passes lay on the floor. Brandon counted. There's 8 of us. Mateo smiled faintly. That's the real game. Lucretia stepped forward. I don't need a pass. They turned to her. I own the cameras. And from beneath her shawl, she raised a small remote. A new screen came to life. Clarice. On stage. But this was older footage. A confession. I left because I loved too much. I returned because they forgot what love even looked like. But if I'm to die in this house, I want it to be as me. Not someone's subplot. Lucretia pressed pause. Then turned to Mateo. My dear boy, she said softly. You're not the writer. She gestured to the shadows. You are the rewrite. The stage lights flickered. And above them, hidden in the scaffolding, Señor Whiskers knocked over a stack of cue cards. One fluttered down. Chloe caught it. 3 words and read, The real ending. And then, all the lights went out. Darkness devoured everything. No power. No ambient hum. Not even the mechanical breathing of the house. Only one sound remained. Slow, deliberate applause. Not recorded. Not mechanical. Human. Somewhere above them. Then, a single spotlight burst back to life, illuminating the stage. But this time, no one stood in it. Instead, a chair. And on it, a final script. Bound in blood-red leather. Embossed with gold letters. The Real Ending, by Lorenzo de Luca. Mateo stepped forward slowly, drawn like a moth to the center. He reached for it, then froze. A voice echoed across the rafters, low and unfamiliar. No actor gets to read the ending. Not before they've lived it. Clarice looked up. That's not Lorenzo. Lucretia stepped forward very slowly. No, she said, a grim smile forming. It's someone who wrote with him. A second spotlight snapped on. There, on the mezzanine above the stage, stood Dr. Amara Liu. Her glasses glinted. Her notebook, that ever-present, leather-bound journal, now rested open in her arms. I never stopped watching, she said. They all came to me, one by one, each of them thinking they were the same ones. Veronica's mouth fell open. Asterisk you? Asterisk you were our therapist. No, Amara said, descending the stairs with surreal calm. I was your editor. Lorenzo hired me to catalog the madness. I just never told him it was contagious. Chloe started laughing. Quietly at first. Then fully. Oh my God! This family is a psychological docuseries. Amara reached the stage. She picked up the final script, leafing through it. This book has everything. Every betrayal. Every lie. Every paternity twist. Brandon's voice trembled. Even the thing with the cucumber in the... Yes, she said sharply. Especially that. Henry stepped forward. Why now? Why reveal this? Amara tilted her head. Because Lorenzo's dead. Veronica gasped. What? Clarice whispered. No. Amara looked around, voice steady. He died hours ago. In his villa. Watching the monitors. I was with him. Mateo stumbled back. You're lying. No. But he was, all along. You were never his final act, Mateo. You were his preview, his teaser trailer. Milo's eyes widened. Then who was the real ending? Amara opened the script to the last page. She read slowly. And in the end, the house chooses not by blood, but by witness. The one who never lied, never performed. The one who watched and remembered. Everyone turned. Milo froze. Amara looked up, smiling softly. Congratulations, she said. You're the heir. Milo dropped his broth. I'm what? Lucretia nodded slowly. Makes sense, Chloe whispered. He has been narrating this whole mess since chapter 1. Yessica wiped a tear. I always said the quiet ones carry the matches. Mateo fell to his knees, gutted. He promised me everything. Amara turned to him, almost gently. He promised everyone everything, but he left it to the only one who never asked. The curtains behind them lifted, revealing a room bathed in golden light. Inside, paintings, journals, tapes, rights, shares, the legacy. Milo stepped forward, dazed. Veronica grabbed his arm. Use it wisely. He looked up. No, I'll burn it wisely. Clarissa's eyes glistened. Then maybe we all survive. A final chime echoed through the room. The stage dimmed. The doors unlocked. The house exhaled. They stepped into the dawn, family or not, something reborn, leaving behind the stage, the secrets, and the ashes of a man who directed them all. Except, back in the vault, where the final curtain had fallen, Señor Whiskers sat alone. In front of him, one last flash drive, labeled in Lorenzo's handwriting. Season 2. The sun barely broke over the horizon as the family, fractured, exhausted, haunted, stepped outside La Casa del final act. The wind was still. No birds. Just the eerie silence of a house that had finally said everything it needed to say. Milo stood a few steps ahead, staring down at the gold key still clutched in his hand. He hadn't spoken since the vault. Not a word. The weight of inheritance sat on him like armor and ash. Behind him, Chloe lit a match just to watch it burn down. He gave it all to you, she said. The house, the tapes, the copyrights, even the name. Milo didn't turn. I never wanted a name. I just wanted someone to remember mine. Veronica, barefoot, mascara smudged across her collarbone like war paint, stepped forward, veil from her robe dragging through the grass. Asterisk Veronica de la Cruz asterisk has nothing left but opinions. Clarice smiled faintly. Then we're finally equal. Henry looked to the villa, stone-faced. I thought I built walls. Turns out I built screens. Naughty emerged last, holding her heels like broken weapons. I'm going back to Monaco. At least there, betrayal comes with cocktails. Lucretia had already unpacked a picnic on the hood of the van. Anyone who survived this night is family now. Even if we kill each other next week. Mateo sat beside her in silence, eyes hollow. The golden boy turned ghost. He hadn't spoken since learning the finale had never been his. Yessica, who had taken nothing from the vault, not even a glance, poured tea calmly. So what now, Milo? You rewrite the history? Or let it rot? He finally turned. I preserve it. All of it. Even the parts no one once told. Especially those, Chloe said. Then, a low electric hum. Back inside the house, unseen, the final flash drive blinked. Season 2. Señor Whiskers pawed it twice, then sat in front of the vault door like a gatekeeper. His eyes were wide. Watching. Waiting. Inside the flash drive, folders. Files. Timelines. New names. New betrayals. One labeled simply, "The return of Oliver's brother." Another, "The real father of Brandon." A third, "Lucretia's first kill video." And one final, locked file. "Milo, unlock when ready." The screen blinked once, then went black. Outside, the family walked down the hill. Together. Uneven. Wounded. Watching each other like chess pieces. From behind them, the house whispered one last breath through the cracked shutters. Cut. Weeks passed. Or maybe it was just days stretched by silence. The Montgomery, de la Cruz estate sat empty, wrapped in fog, draped like an old costume. No laughter, no screams, no smoke machine haze. Just shadows, and Señor Whiskers, patrolling the halls like a retired spy with unfinished business. Milo had not left. He lived now in the East Wing, the only room untouched by secrets or saffron-scented deception. He spent his mornings in the archive Lorenzo built, digitizing lies and labeling betrayal like museum pieces. Each flash drive got a ribbon, each tape a timestamp, each folder a title. One he couldn't open. "Milo, unlock when ready." He wasn't. Yet. Until that morning. It started with a letter. No return address. Handwritten in a shade of ink that shimmered slightly, like oil on water. He opened it, heart slow. Read. "Season 1 was memory. Season 2 is mirror. Unlock the file and meet your reflection." No signature. Just a seal. The de la Cruz crest, cracked down the center. Milo hesitated only once. Then he unlocked it. The screen flashed. Video file 1, birth certificate, Milo. He clicked. A pixelated image appeared, a document. His name. Date. But not the mother's name. That line was blacked out. Smudged. Burned. Only one name was visible. Father, Lorenzo de Luca. Milo recoiled. "No!" But the next file loaded itself. Video file 2, Veronica. Confession draft, unsent. He watched. Veronica. In a silk robe, talking to the mirror, wine in hand, face raw. "If Milo ever finds this, tell him I didn't know. Not at first. But when I did, I stayed quiet." Because how do you tell a boy that the man who stole your 20s also gave you a son? The screen froze on her tear-streaked face. Milo stared. The truth folding over him like theater curtains at final bow. Lorenzo was. A new file popped open. Video file 3, Lucretia, interrogation room, 1989. Black and white. Grainy. Her voice clear. "Yes, I know the boy. He was auctioned, not adopted. I bought him. For her. Because guilt needed a name." He backed away from the screen. Señor Whiskers let out a low growl from the windowsill. Milo turned. On the desk, a new envelope. From Lorenzo. He opened it with shaking hands. "You are the only one who saw all of us for who we were. So now, I give you the last role, director." Inside, a master key. Gold. Engraved with 2 words. Season 2. He stood, silent, then walked to the basement, unlocked the vault again. And this time, lights snapped on. Dozens of monitors. Live feeds. Paris. Mexico City. Monaco. Buenos Aires. The de la Cruz family was still moving. Still lying. Still performing. Asterisk, asterisk. But now Milo had the footage. And the script. He sat down, put on the headset Lorenzo left behind. Whispered. Lights. Camera. A red light blinked to life. The house listened. And far away, on a yacht off Capri, Veronica de la Cruz felt a chill up her spine and whispered, unprovoked. Asterisk he's watching. Asterisk. And oh he was.